Hello everybody and welcome back to the brand new Doctor Who video, where today we are discussing one of various aspects to do with the upcoming New Year's Day special Revolution of the Daleks, where today we're looking at the returning character Jack Robertson. So yes, I thought that I'm going to do two or three different videos just looking at aspects sort of that are connected to the O2 Revolution of the Daleks that have appeared in previous Chibnall episodes. So I'm going to look at Captain Jack and his previous appearance in Futures of the Judoon, and whether there's any clues as to what we're going to get from him in this special, sort of from that appearance. And we're looking at, in this video, of course, Arachnids in the UK and Jack Robertson's previous appearance in that episode, along with, hopefully, I'm going to have a look at Resolution as well, as to sort of any Dalek connections to what the upcoming special is going to give us. So yeah, today we're going to have a little chat about Jack Robertson, a character who I think many people will mostly have forgotten about or completely forgotten about, because he was such a, in many ways, kind of unremarkable character that you just didn't really have any reason to remember. So to stop you guys from having to go through that experience, I thought I would watch Arachnids in the UK again, to be able to give you a little bit more information about his character and therefore what we might be expecting to see from him in the New Year's Day special. So yes, as I mentioned, he turned up, the character of Jack Robertson, for the first time and only time so far in episode 4 of series 11 of Doctor Who, so Jodie Whittaker's 4th episode as the Doctor, played by Chris Noth, a sort of, I think, fairly well-renowned American actor. He was portraying the character of Robertson, or Jack Robertson, in Arachnids in the UK. And for you, those of you who don't remember the plot of Arachnids in the UK, it's basically all about giant spiders, or spiders that have been growing through radioactive waste that was contained underneath or sort of toxic waste that was contained underneath a hotel that was one of many that Jack Robertson had been owning and sort of launching, and it was his waste disposal company that was putting this toxic waste underneath the hotel, and it was becoming toxic with sort of spider carcasses and turning them into giant spiders, and that was kind of it. And then they just kind of got defeated by a Stormzy song for some reason. Yeah. It's not a terrible episode, but it's also not massively great. But Jack Robertson, let's focus on him as a character. So who is he? He is a businessman, essentially, a sort of quite wealthy sort of businessman, entrepreneur who owns loads of hotel chains. He's got loads of general businesses that he owns. He's very much a kind of Donald Trump caricature to an extent, although there is a joke made about his hatred of Donald Trump in this story as well. The key sort of, I guess, linking thing there as well is he is very much wanting to run for president in 2020. Of course, this story is set in 2018, so it was still 2 years away from that. And he was wanting to go up against Donald Trump in the US presidential election of 2020. So maybe that's something we're going to sort of see the outcome of in Revolution of the Daleks. But yeah, that was one key point, is he's basically a businessman who owns a load of hotels and lots of businesses like Trump did, and he wants to run for president like Trump did. I think you're seeing a theme here about the Donald Trump connections. There's definitely, in this episode, he's played to an extent for sort of slightly comedic elements, where he's just kind of, talking to spiders and sort of joking with himself about the fact he is. Just a few general little jokes and taking the mick. It's quite a hammy performance in many ways, I guess, from Chris Noth. He's very much kind of playing it a little bit over the top. And I don't think it's massively kind of detracting from it, but he's hardly a kind of serious evil villain. But then in many ways, he's not really meant to be the kind of complete villain of this story. Just he kind of has some bad morals, I guess, and you kind of get the impression that he wants to not necessarily rule the whole world, but very much he wants to become president of America and sort of put his view of the world onto that population, and potentially, I guess, the world as a whole to a larger extent as well. He's very sort of pro-guns and violence and wants that sort of control that guns can give him and things like that. We very much see that in this episode when he sort of shoots the massive spider at the end of the story and is basically saying that what the country needs is a guy who's willing to just shoot the bad guys. Seems to be the sort of implication there. I think it's fair to say. And he's very much portrayed as a sort of well-known figure in this story. Like, everybody's heard of Jack Robertson, and he's about to run for president, although it's not been officially announced yet, is what we get in Arachnids in the UK. I wouldn't really say he's a sort of massively well-layered character. It's not, he's very much, his MO is, I want to make loads of money in the cheapest way possible by doing slightly dodgy things with my businesses, by building them on landfill sites and sort of old mines and stuff, and then chucking all the toxic waste from his other company, disposing that into underneath it so that he can, make the most money by using the same land to do 2 different jobs and 2 different businesses, and it's all about the money, basically. And he's very sort of big on that, but also the kind of power and control of it to an extent as well. I think he wants to very much become a sort of one of the dominant leading figures in the whole world, even though he's currently just a businessman. He sort of wants to branch out into that almost he wants to just run things rather than necessarily be a real politician, I think, which I guess to an extent is what Trump was, so it's debatable, but that's very much what he's looking for, and I think that also gives a good few kind of hints and clues as to what to expect from his role in Revolution of the Daleks. So I think that gives a reasonably good sort of catch up on his character. At the end, as I say, at the end of Arachnids in the UK, the last thing we see of him is he shoots this last giant spider who's suffocating to death. But he just walks in, shoots it, says that's what what the world needs, is that what America needs, is someone who's sort of a strong leader who can just go and shoot the bad guys, basically. And he walks out the room. He kind of gives a slightly ominous look at the Doctor as well, in a sort of, I hate you, I'm going to come back to haunt you, or maybe the Doctor will come back to haunt him. And then he walks out the room, and that's the last we hear of him. He's not referenced, he's not mentioned, or anything at all, again, in another Jodie Whittaker episode, until what we're going to get in Revolution. So yes, what do we know about him in Revolution? We know he's coming back. We know that he's got some sort of connection to what has become the new Prime Minister in this story as well. My kind of reading of it, based on lots of hints and little clues and things like that, is that sort of a lot of the plot of the story is going to revolve around sort of basically blueprints for the Dalek design that we saw in Resolution are going to stored by the MDZ research company or something like that. They've got hold of these plans, and somehow that links back to Jack Robertson, and he's going to be involved in the creation of these sort of new race of Daleks, basically, that are used off the plans from Resolution, to be able to then presumably kind of take over the world or get him into power or something along those lines. We don't know quite in many ways when this story is meant to be set. It was filmed in October 2019, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was set then, because they would have certainly have known it wasn't airing in 2019, and would have known it would be airing after Series 12 in 2020, so presumably would have guessed it would have been around the festive period, and so maybe have sort of written it with that thought in mind. I don't really know. It's hard to predict, really, but I think that, that Robertson's going to be very much heavily involved in the creation of these new Daleks. Maybe it's one of his companies, or he's financing it or something, or trying to make money and become president off the back of it. I think that's kind of where his main role is going to be, I would imagine. He's got some sort of alliance with this seemingly fairly evil Prime Minister that we've now got in this story as well. So I think there's definitely some interesting things that could come out of him being in this story. I wouldn't say that he was kind of my number one choice for a character to return, maybe, but I can kind of see the door was left a little bit open. Very much the ending of Arachnids in the UK does kind of feel like a bit of a, I'm going to come and take over the world, not take over the world, I'm going to come and become president and be amazing, and you can't stop me, and then he just walks off. So it did feel a little bit open-ended at the time, and it doesn't wholly surprise me. And in many ways, I'm quite pleased to kind of have a few more interconnections between the Chibnall era, one particularly, of course, Series 11 was so kind of every episode was individual and had no connection to the other ones. It got a bit better in Series 12, but it's nice to just have another link back to something else within the Chibnall era, I think, which is really, really good. So yeah, I wouldn't say he's the number one thing I'm most excited for about Revolution of the Daleks, but he's an intriguing plotline, an intriguing character that I'm interested to see where we're going to take him. Is he going to, die in the special or something, or could it be that he then gets another feature appearance after this story? Will this be the end of his kind of grand plan or not? I don't know. Maybe he already is the president if it's set sort of far enough in the future, I guess, for this story. I don't know. I think we'll just have to wait and find out. But yeah, I think there's a few interesting prospects and possibilities for the Robertson character. And one of the random quick things to note is that for some reason the Radio Times, when they printed their listing of this episode with the cast list, it listed Chris No's character as Alan Robertson for some reason. So either that's a typo, he's playing a different character, or that's his middle name, or he's going under a different name now. He very clearly says in the episode Arachnids in the UK, I am Jack Robertson. He makes that clear, so that very much implies his first name is Jack, his last name is Robertson. So I don't know where we're getting Alan Robertson for. So maybe it's just a screw up on the Radio Times part, or maybe he's going by a middle name or a pseudonym or something. I don't know, but just a little tiny interesting thing to note that we found out recently. So that's just about it for this quick video, guys. Do let me know your theories and thoughts. Are you happy to see that that Robertson's back in the show? Do you not really care? Are you going to watch Arachnids in the UK again to prepare for it? I wouldn't say it's that bad if you want to put yourself through it. Like, it's not terrible. There's a few good aspects in there. Some of the character stuff is actually quite alright, even if the plot is a little bit average. But yeah, do let me know your thoughts on it all in the comments below. And as I say, I'll be back in the near future to look back at Captain Jack's previous appearance in Doctor Who in Fugitive of the Judoon, as well as a look at Resolution, and lots of other videos to come in the build-up to Revolution of the Daleks on New Year's Day. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please do hit the like button and the subscribe button if you're new here, and I'll see you again very, very soon for a brand new video. Goodbye!